So meron pang 8 na hindi nakapag-turn in dun sa first quiz natin, in which kung hindi ko kayo nakapag-turn in sa quiz, hindi ko po ma-record yung inyong mga scores. Okay po? So alam niyo naman na kung sino-sino kayo, I think. Nakita niyo naman yung sa records niyo. Okay, so let us start now with our discussions. For the topics of our chapter 2, we have determining the food and beverage standards. Number 2 is the operations, budgeting, and cost volume profit analysis. So under these topics, for these topics, we will be discussing kung ano ba yung mga dapat natin ginagawa with regards to budgeting and kung paano ba natin nakokontrol yung expenses natin for each item and for each period. So for the learning objectives of this chapter, we have to determine the food and beverage standards, describe the importance and functions of an operating budget as a planning and control tool, determine the cost volume profit equation to calculate the revenues required to reach desired profit levels, understand and apply the formulas for calculating the standard costs of a product, and lastly, nga pala, nawala yung share screen. Wait lang. Wait lang. Naghahang. Nakikita niyo na ba?
Wala po.
Wala pa rin yung presentation.
Wala pa po.
Wala pa, sir.
Yan. Klaro na ba? Wala pa din. Nagahang yung laptop. Pinagin. Meron na? Nakikita niyo na
Okay
yung
na
presentation?
po. Opo.
Ayan.
Opo, sir.
Na-stress ko dito nagahang yung laptop. Okay, so next, for our topic 1, we have determining the food and beverage standards. So food and beverage services can be broadly defined as the process of preparing, presenting, and serving of food and beverages to the customers. So with regards to the food and beverage services, we are not just cooking the product and then selling it to our guests. We have to calculate kung magkano ba yung ginagastos natin per product na sinaserve natin dun sa ating customers or clients. It is not enough na alam lang natin na binibenta natin siya, na nabibili siya, but also we have to identify and we have to check kung kumikita ba tayo. Okay? Kasi kung hindi tayo kumikita sa product and services na binibenta natin, then it is not enough to operate for our food and beverage services. Kasi hindi naman nasusustentuhan kung ano yung pangangailangan natin and yung main purpose kung bakit tayo nagbebenta ng product. Okay? So for this one, under the food and beverage services, we have two types. So the off-premise and the on-premise and off-premise or outdoor catering. For the on-premise catering or on-premise food and beverage services, it means that the products and services is offered inside the establishment or sa establishment kung saan man ginagawa or niluluto or pine-prepare yung product. That's why it's called on-premise. The off-premise naman, ibig sabihin, it is served outside the establishment. So it can be a concessionaire venue for an event, or it can be a concessionaire or partner establishment, okay, na umorder ng product sa atin, we are preparing it sa establishment, and we will be delivering it doon sa ating client. Okay, so it will be consumed outside the establishment. Next one, for the food and beverage service operations, we have two types. So we have commercial and non-commercial. So the difference between the commercial and non-commercial is that when we see commercial, yung food and beverage yung establishment, their primary services and primary product offered will be the food and beverage. Okay? So ano-ano po ba yung mga example natin for this? So we have restaurants, cafeterias, canteens, pubs, and so on and so forth. Or yung mga establishments na unang ino-offer na product ay food and beverage services. With regards to non-commercial products naman, they have products and services with regards to food and beverage, but it is secondary na lang sa mga products na ino-offer nila. Okay? So ano-ano yon? So for example, we have hospital. Okay? So si hospital, ang main product nila is the health services. Okay? But they have food products. Okay? They have canteens and they offer food products, but it is not their main product. So kumikita sila for food and beverage services, pero hindi yun yung pangunahing product kung saan sila kumikita. Okay? So that is the difference between commercial and non-commercial food and beverage service operations. Next is the food cost control. So we have two types of cost control. We have the food cost control and the beverage cost control. Okay, so let us first discuss the food cost control. So ano ba yung tinatawag nating food cost control? So si food cost control is the process that we are applying or the process that are applying for the establishments that are offering food and beverage services. So si food cost control, ginagamit natin siya to check, evaluate, and calculate kung magkano ba yung ginagastos natin, kung paano ba natin pine-prepare yung product, at kung ano yung value ng items na nawawala sa atin while we are preparing the product. Okay? Or what we've called losses. Okay? So with regards to losses, there are 5 factors that are responsible for it. Number 1 is the lack of proper supervision at the point of receiving the food from the supplier. Okay? So for example, kagaya ng diniscuss natin previously during the purchasing and inventory. Okay? So while purchasing an item or pag nag-purchase tayo ng item and ng product, excuse me, it is very important that we check the item individually. Okay? Kasi if not, kung merong na-deliver sa atin or na-purchase sa atin na hindi na natin mapapakinabangan at dinlagin na natin siya diretso sa storage, hindi na natin siya maibabalik agad. Okay? Hindi natin siya mapapalitan sa suppliers agad-agad. And that can be considered as loss. Okay? When we say loss, ibig sabihin, yun yung nawalang pera na kagad sa establishment. Kasi hindi na natin napakinabangan yung item. Hindi na natin siya nagamit for consumption. Okay? So automatically, it is considered loss kung hindi natin na-check kung usable ba or edible pa ba yung item. Next one is insufficient or inefficient menu planning. With regards to inefficient menu planning, it has something to do with the changes with regards to menu offered. Okay? For example, ang menu na ino-offer mo is varying every week. Okay? So weekly nagpapalit-palit ka ng menu. So ang tendency, yung purchase mo na raw ingredients or raw materials, hindi rin nako-consume right away. There are chances na nag-e-expired or nasisira yung product na in-order mo or yung raw ingredients na in-order mo. So, ang nangyayari, that is considered loss kung hindi natin siya nagagamit. Unlike na kung meron kang standard na menu offered, okay, hindi ka na mahihirapan with regards to raw ingredients and raw materials. Kasi you have standard menu all throughout the year. Hindi ka nagpapalit-palit ng menu ng product na ino-offer, hindi ka nagpapalit-palit ng menu items. So yung raw ingredients na ino-order natin, hindi rin nagpapalit-palit yung consumption. So steadily yung consumption ng raw ingredients natin, na ma-maximize natin kung ano yung pinurchase natin na raw ingredients. Okay? So next one is the kitchen production. So with regards to kitchen production, dito nagkakaroon ng dito tayo nagkakaroon ng malaking losses. Okay? Kasi with regards to kitchen production, while preparing pa lang, naghihiwa pa lang tayo ng ingredients natin, meron na kagad nawawala sa atin. For example, sa vegetables, Pag nagbabalat tayo ng vegetables, yung vegetable, pinurchase natin siya as a whole. Okay? Binili natin siya or binayaran natin siya as a whole. Okay? Pag binalatan natin siya, yung part na tinanggal natin dun sa vegetable, binayaran din natin yun. So may cost din yon na equivalent. So automatically, it will considered as loss for the establishment. Okay? So nawala na yun sa atin. Hindi naman natin pwedeng ibenta yung balat ng carrots or balat ng patatas sa customer. Mambilihin mo na tong balat ng carrots namin, balat ng patatas namin. Masarap po yan, malasa po yan. Okay? Ang rason natin kung bakit natin binenta, kasi binayaran din namin yan. May cost din po yan na nakapalit. No, hindi natin pwedeng ibenta yun. Kasi hindi naman yung kakainin ng guest natin. Hindi yung kakainin ng customer natin. That's why it's considered loss. Another thing, pag nagluluto tayo ng product, okay, while cooking the product, automatically, meron pong nawawalang weight dyan. Nababawasan yung weight ng product while cooking. Kasi there are times na yung liquid contents ng raw ingredients natin ay nag-e-evaporate while cooking. So ang tendency, bumababa yung weight na pwede nating maibenta. So that is considered loss. Okay? So ano po yung mga pwede nating gawin doon? So pwede nating ipatong or pwede tayong magkaroon ng buffer dun sa presyo na ipapatong natin para ma-cover up kung magkano yung nawala sa atin. Another thing, number 4 is the service of proposed foods. With regards to the service of proposed foods, it has something to do with the service and production process. Okay, for example, si cashier, nagkamali ng order si cashier, okay, or si cashier staff. Nagawa na ni production ngayon yung product. Isinerve kay client pero hindi yun yung product na in-order o pinurchase ng client natin. So ang tendency, pwede lang natin siyang ma-consume or ma-considered as sales kung maibebenta pa natin siya via suggestive selling. Okay? Pero, kung hindi natin siya mabenta within the duration of time na pwede siyang i-consume or best for consumption time ng product, it is considered loss. Okay? Or kapag nag-lapse na yung item, matatawag na po natin siyang loss. Hindi na natin siya pwedeng ibenta kasi wala na yung best time for consumption. Pag binenta lang natin siya, pwede tayong makakuha ng complaint for the guest because of the quality of the product. Okay? Sabihin niyo kung masyadong mabilis ako magsalita para I can slow it down. Okay? Then the last one will be the clearing up. Ano naman yung sinasabi natin clearing up? Every time na matatapos yung operation natin for the day, merong instances and merong circumstances na meron tayong, what do you call this? Meron tayong leftovers. Okay? O yung mga products na hindi natin nabenta kasi nasobrahan tayo sa pag-prepare. Okay? So that is considered loss kasi hindi naman natin siya pwedeng ibenta kinabukasan eh. Okay? There are establishments na ang ginagawa para mabawi yung product na nilabas or na niluto is pinapa-salary deduction sa employees. Okay? But that is not mandatory. Hindi yun mandatory at hindi dapat yun ina-impose sa ating mga staffs and employees. Okay? So those are the factors na responsible for the losses of our costs and expenses sa loob ng establishment. Next one, the standard yield. So what do we mean when we say the standard yield? So the standard yield is for example, nagpe-prepare ka ng product. Okay? Kumuha ka ng 1 kilogram of potato. Okay? So yung 1 kilograms ng potato mo, hindi pa siya nababalatan or hindi pa siya natitrim off. Okay? So once na natanggal mo na yung part or yung balat na hindi mo gagamitin for consumption, kung gaano kalaki yung matitira doon na weight, that is what you've called the standard yield. Okay? So for example, from 1 kilogram naging 900 grams na lang siya. Okay, so yung 900 grams, yung gagamitin mo ngayon na standard yield. Hindi yung 1 kilogram kasi meron ka ng parts na tinanggal na hindi naman edible. Okay, so when we say standard yield, kung ano lang po yung edible part or yung part na pwede nating i-consume dun sa product, yun lang po yung mini-measure natin for the yield. Next one is the standard portion. For the standard portion naman, it has something to do with the portion sizes. Okay, So kung gaano kalaki or kung gaano kabigat yung portion na minemeasure natin per serving. For example, umorder si guest ng pasta. Okay? So yung pasta natin according to our recipe, per size or per serving, ang portion size niya is 275 grams. Okay, so that is what you've called the standard portion size. Okay? So per serving, gaano kalaki, okay, ang weight or kung gaano kabigat at gaano kadami yung sinaserve natin. That is the portion size. So we have the different units of measurement. We have weight, volume, and number of count. So for weight, ginagamit natin siya madalas for solid ingredients. Okay, so such as meat, fish, and vegetables. Okay. For volume naman, for weight, ang ginagamit nating unit of measurement is grams, kilograms, or pounds. Okay? So for volume naman, we are using milliliters or liters for units of measurement or unit of expression, but it is used mainly for soups, juices, and milk, or for liquid ingredients and liquid products. Okay? For the number of counts naman, it is used dun sa mga items na hindi natin pwedeng i-weigh or hindi natin pwedeng i-measure by volume. So, for example, yung eggs. Okay? Si eggs, ginagamit natin siya per pieces. There are times na si bacon, ginagamit din natin per slice. So, hindi natin mini-measure kung gaano kabigat or kung gaano karami yung per slice. So, another thing is prawns. Okay? So, there are times na ginagamit natin si prawns per pieces. So, for example, 50 pieces of prawns ang kailangan natin gamitin. So, we are using it not by weight, but per pieces. Okay? May times na mini-measure natin si prawns by weight, but most of the time, we are measuring or we are using prawns or unit of measurement for prawns by number of counts. Kung ilang piraso. Okay? Next one, what are the advantages of portioning food? So ano nga ba yung mga advantages kapag nagpo-portion tayo ng food? So number one, a standard portion reduces customer displeasure. Okay? Kasi kung equal yung products or kung same yung measurement ng products na sinaserve mo per customer regardless of the time, regardless kung anong araw, kung kailan, at regardless kung sino yung nag-serve niyan, walang complaint ang customers natin with regards to portion sizes. Okay? For example, kayo, pag umu-order kayo sa mga fast food chain, okay? Di ba chine-check natin kung gaano karami yung product na nakukuha natin at nakikita kagad natin kung masyadong konti at masyadong madami. Okay? So kung meron tayong standard portion, so kung ang restaurant ay merong standard portion na sinaserve, naiiwasan natin yung complaint with regards to portion sizes. And aside from that, kung meron tayong portion sizes na pina-follow, nare-reduce din natin yung costs of losses. Okay? Naiiwasan natin kapag nag-over-portion tayo, yung sobra dun sa portion size natin na sinaserve sa customer or sa client, automatically considered as loss. Hindi na natin yun mababawi. Hindi naman natin pwedeng sabihin kay customer na, ay ma'am, over-portion po yung product na sinerve namin sa inyo. Pwede ko bubang kunin mo na kasi babawasan po namin. Okay? Hindi naman natin pwedeng sabihin yung ganun kay customer. Okay? It is our duty and responsibility as a production staff to ensure that the portions of our products that are served to the customers will always be equal. Okay? So, paano natin nalalaman kung equal yung portion sizes na nasa-serve natin sa guest? So, by using portioning items or portioning equipments and tools. So, mamaya malalaman natin kung ano ba yung mga portioning tools na pwede natin gamitin para standard yung portion na nasa-serve natin. Next one is the standard portion also reduces the risk between production and between the service. So, sino ba yung tinatawag nating production and service? So, yung tinatawag nating production is yung nasa loob ng kitchen. Yung tinatawag nating service, sila yung humaharap sa tao. Okay? Kaya natin sinasabi na naiiwasan natin yung rift between the service and production is that pag nagkakaroon ng complaint with regards to the portion sizes of our product, hindi naman si production ang humaharap. Hindi si production ang sumasalo ng complaint. It is the service personnel. Yung service staffs natin. So, ngayon, pag nagreklamo si customer kay service personnel, si service personnel naman ngayon magra-run kay production. So magkakaroon ng conflict between two departments. Okay? So kung meron tayong standard portion, naiiwasan natin yung complaint with regards to the portion size that are served sa customer. Okay? So naiiwasan natin ngayon yung conflict with regards to the service and production. Next one, the standard portion also has to reduce excessive costs. Okay? With regards to excessive cost, ibig sabihin po nito, naiiwasan natin yung nasosobrahan tayo ng yung price value ng product na dapat sineserve natin kay customer ay sapat lang dun sa size na sinerve natin. Kasi kapag sobra or overportion yung sinerve natin kay customer, ang tendency, hindi sila yung nalugi, tayo. Okay? Kasi, kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, every part of our product, once na naluto na yan, always have costs. Pinagkagastosan natin yan. Meron yung katumbas lagi na presyo. Eh, kahit sabihin mo na 1 gram lang yan, 2 grams, 3 grams, it always have price value. Okay? So, naiiwasan natin yung excessive cost na binibigyan natin sa customer. The tendency is that mas malaki yung nakukuha nating income kasi standard yung nasa-serve nating product. Okay? And aside from that, nare-reach din natin yung goal natin base sa portion sizes natin. Okay? So, these are the equipments that are used for portioning the food. Okay, so we have 4. Number 1, the scoops. Okay? So, scoops or ice cream scoops or ice scoopers, ginagamit natin siya for portioning of items. So, usually ginagamit natin siya for mashed potatoes, for ice creams, or for products na starchy. Okay? So, ginagamit natin siya para standard yung portions na nasa-serve natin. Hindi na natin kailangan na mag-scoop, na i-weigh kung gaano kabigat dapat. Okay? In that way, na-maximize natin yung time of production. Okay? Next one is ladles. So, si ladles, ginagamit naman natin siya for soups and sauces. Okay? So, by using a ladle, hindi na natin kailangan i-measure sa measuring cup or liquid volume measure kung gaano kadami yung nasa-serve natin na sauces and ingredients. So, kung meron tayong ladle, isang scoop lang ng ladle, that is equivalent na for a particular gram, for a particular liters or milliliters. Okay? So, hindi na tayo mahihirapan na mag-measure. Next one is by portioning scale. Si portioning scale naman ginagamit natin siya by preparation pa lang. Sa preparation pa lang ng product. Okay? So, by using of portioning scales, we can easily identify kung gaano kabigat yung meat, fish, or poultry natin, or as well as the vegetables. So, we have different kinds of portioning scale. So, we have the analog and we have the digital. Okay, si analog or manual at saka si digital. So, si analog, yun po yung nakikita ninyo na may kamay pa. Okay? Si digital naman, numbers na yung nakikita natin. Okay? So, ano sa tingin niyo yung mas applicable na ginagamit natin? Is it the digital or the analog? What do you think is the applicable with regards to preparation? Sa preparation natin, ano yung sa tingin niyo mas applicable habang nagpe-prepare tayo? Is it the analog measuring scale or the digital measuring scale? Anyone?
Digital.
Digital, according to Miss Angela. Okay. Actually, there are times na applicable or na mas applicable, most of the time, mas applicable talaga si digital scale. But it will depend kung ano po yung niluluto natin. For baked products, okay, kung baked products yung lulutuin natin or prepare natin, the most applicable scale to use is the portioning scale that is digital. Okay? Kasi nakikita mo each grams. Okay, hindi mo na kailangang evaluate kung tama ba yung gram. Unlike na kung mag-analog tayo for a baked product, mas hirap i-identify kung yun ba ay 1 gram, 2 grams, 3 grams, kasi kailangan mong tignan yung buhit. Okay? Si digital, si analog naman, usually, it is applicable for larger amounts. Okay, so 1 kilogram ng meat. Okay? Mas madali natin siyang ma-identify kung 1 kilogram of meat ang kailangan natin or mas madali natin siyang magagamit kasi usually si analog measuring scale mas malalaki yung portions na kaya niyang i-weight. Okay, unlike kay digital, usually hanggang 5 or 10 kilograms lang. Okay? Next one is the measuring cups. Okay? Si measuring cups naman, ginagamit natin to for shredded ingredients or for chopped ingredients. Okay? So those are the portioning tools that we use to provide equal portions on each product. Next one is a recipe. So ano nga ba yung tinatawag nating recipe? So usually, naririnig lang natin siya na si recipe. Okay? But do we really understand kung ano ba dapat yung content ng isang recipe? Okay? So recipe can be defined as a written or printed list of ingredients and quantities of the ingredients with the method or procedure by which the dish has to be prepared. Okay? So we have to evaluate, para matawag natin siyang recipe, it should contain the following components. So ano ba yung example natin for our recipe? Okay, so standard recipe should contain number one, yung name ng product. Okay? And as well as yung name ng establishment. Okay? But most of the time, hindi na kailangan tong name of the establishment. Okay? So recipe 4, ano yung pangalan ng recipe na ipe-prepare? Number of portions, kung pang ilang tao siya. Portion size, kung gaano kalaki yung portion per tao. And then the recipe number and then yung date kung kailan siya ipe-prepare at kung kailan siya ginawa. Serial number, ingredients, and quantity. Si serial number ng ingredients na ginamit. Okay? Kasi yung serial number, it has something to do with the storage. Okay? So, kung gaano kadami, quantity kung gaano kadami yung product, ay yung ingredients na gagamitin. Okay? Cooking method. Cooking method, it contains kung ano yung procedure, okay, kung paano natin lulutuin yung product. And lastly, yung cooking time. Okay? Kung mapapansin niyo, wala dyang pangalan kung sino yung nag-prepare. It's because regardless kung sino yung nag-prepare ng recipe or kung sino yung magluluto ng recipe, it will still the same as long as they follow the quantity of the ingredients and at the same time the cooking method. Okay? So cooking time, gaano katagal siya dapat niluluto? So we are done with the food cost control. Let us now proceed with the beverage cost control. So si beverage cost control, it refers to the control of liquor, including non-alcoholic beverages, during purchasing, receiving, issuing, and selling. So si beverage cost control, hindi lang siya nagpa-pertain sa pagpe-prepare o sa pagbebenta ng product. It also has something to do with the purchasing, receiving, and issuance. Okay? So the control measures for the beverage control can be measured or can be used as number one, keeping less expensive drinks as house brands. Ano po yung tinatawag nating house brands? So yung sinasabi nating house brands, ito yung mga beverage products na ino-offer natin on a daily basis. Okay? Ito yung mga product na ino-offer natin araw-araw, regularly sa guests and clients natin. Okay? For example, yung mga sodas natin, okay, mga iced teas, okay, mga brewed products. So those are what we've called house brands. Next one is to avoid overbuying. When we see avoiding overbuying, it has something to do with our current stocks or our current the items that are present in our storage areas. Okay? With regards to purchasing of the product, it is very important that we consider kung ilang items pa yung natitira bago tayo mag-purchase. Okay? Kasi pag nag-purchase tayo ng sobra-sobra, ang tendency is that nagiging stagnant yung product, hindi natin napapaikot yung pera na ginastos natin for that item. Okay? Instead na yung pera na yun, ginastos natin sa ibang item, napakinabangan natin siya, napaikot natin siya. That's why we should always purchase kung ilan lang yung forecasted natin at hindi natin dapat i-purchase ng sobra. Okay? So for example, sa tingin ang nakita natin ngayong week na to, ay the previous week sobrang taas ng sales natin with regards to our beverage. Okay? It doesn't mean na mataas yung sales natin the previous week, ganun pa rin yung sales natin ngayong week. Okay? We can use that as our reference. Okay? Pwede natin siyang gamitin as reference for purchasing, but it doesn't mean na it will be the same ngayong linggo. Okay? So for purchasing, we always have to purchase kung ilan lang yung talaga yung kailangan natin at kung ano lang yung mga items na kailangan natin. Okay? Hindi porket oras na ng purchasing natin, lahat ng items sa storage natin ay ipo-purchase na natin. Okay? Next one is the strict storing and receiving procedures. With regards to the storage and receiving, some products or some beverage products will require a certain temperature. Okay? Kailangan po natin i-ensure na ma-meet natin yung quality yung criteria for the storage para hindi po nasasayang yung quality ng product. Okay? Kasi kapag bumaba yung quality ng item na yon, pag binenta natin sa automatic, pag nag-complain si guest, kailangan natin siyang palitan ng newer product. So, ang tendency, nasayang na yung item kasi hindi na natin siya pwedeng ibenta. Okay? With regards to receiving naman, it is very important that we ensure na yung na-receive nating items from the supplier can be consumed in a duration of time. And may enough time para ma-consume natin siya. Okay? Next one is the regular physical inventory of stores. We always have to check kung ilang items na lang yung natira, kung ilang items yung na-consume, para malaman natin kung gaano lang karami yung ipopurchase natin. Periodically preparing operational statements, ibig sabihin, we are summarizing either weekly or monthly kung gaano karami yung yung nabebenta nating food product para alam natin kung ano yung mga product na mabenta. Okay? Kung na-identify na natin kung ano yung mga product na mabenta, ibig sabihin, yun yung pwede natin taasan yung purchasing. So, pwede natin dagdagan yung purchasing nun kasi nakikita natin na mataas yung consumption ng product na yun. Okay? So, control checks and BOT or beverage order ticket. With regards to this one, we always have to ensure na kung ano lang yung nakalist down dun sa pinurchase natin at yung kailangan natin i-purchase, yun lang yung bibilihin natin. Yun lang yung babayaran natin. Hindi pwedeng may dumating na product na wala naman sa purchase order natin at in-offer ng supplier natin, bibilhin na kagad natin. Okay? Regular bar inventory. With regards to regular bar inventory, we always have to check kung ano pa yung mga items na present dun sa station natin or sa bar station natin so that we can check kung kailangan na ba nating mag-replenish from the storage. Next one is the usage of the standard measure. Especially for mocktails and cocktails and for mixed products or yung mga products na kailangan pa natin timplahin, we always have to ensure na hindi natin tinatansya-tansya yung pagtimpla. Okay, bakit po? Kagaya nga ng sinabi ko, each quantity of those products have value. May katumbas na presyo. Okay? Then last one is to follow the standard bar recipe cards for cocktails. So, kailangan natin sundin kung gaano lang kadami yung require. Kung 1 jigger lang. Kung half jigger lang. Kung 1 tablespoon of what do you call this? Kung 1 jigger of liquor lang ang kailangan mo, 1 jigger lang. Hindi tayo dapat sumusobra. Kasi, nababawasan yung liquor natin na pwede pa natin i-serve sa ibang products or sa ibang item. For purchasing, okay? So for purchasing of beverages, the different sources of supply are as follows. O kung saan ba natin pwedeng makuha yung mga supplies natin. Number 1 is yung cash and carry retail outlets. So ano ba yung tinatawag natin cash and carry retail outlets? For example, si SM Hypermarkets, liquor department. Okay? So that is what we call the cash and carry retail outlets. Okay? So pupunta ka sa store, bibili ka ng ilang peraso kasi kailangan mo lang for that same period or for the certain period kasi naubusan ka ng stock. Okay? So babayaran mo sa cashier, that is cash and carry out, retail outlet. Next one is the suspended department or the suspended business. With regards to this one, it has something to do with the contract. Okay? So for example, sa loob ng isang linggo, kailangan ito yung ma-deliver mo na item. Okay? So until ma-meet yung items na ni-require mo for the particular supplier, dun lang matatapos yung cycle ng order ninyo or ng purchase ninyo. So magpo-purchase ka ulit ng panibago. That is what you call suspended. Next one, seller stocks and suspended debt accounts. Dito naman, with regards ko ang kaibahan nitong number 2 and number 3, si number 2, binabayaran mo kagad siya upon delivery. Okay? Dito sa number 3, ang payment method nito is monthly basis. Okay? For example, sa loob ng isang linggo, 6 na beses nag-deliver sa supplier sa'yo. It doesn't mean na 6 na beses siya nag-deliver sa'yo. Kailangan mo siyang bayaran on the time na nag-deliver siya. Okay? So, it can be on it can be scheduled payment. Okay? So, ang scheduled payment pwedeng at the end of the month or sa quincenas ng buwan or pwedeng hatiin ng 2 beses kada buwan. So that's why it's called suspended debt accounts. Okay? So kumbaga, consume now, pay later. Okay? Next one is the wholesalers. With regards to wholesalers, ito yung mga supplier na nag-o-offer ng bulk orders. Okay, so for example, ang order ko ay hindi by piece, kundi by case. So 10 cases of cola. So that is what is called wholesaler or wholesale. Next one is the wine shippers. So si wine shippers naman, you are purchasing products or beverage products directly dun sa gumagawa ng product. Okay? It doesn't mean na yung brand na yon, for example, Coca-Cola, for example, wine. Ano bang wine? Ano ba maganda? For example, particular brand ng wine. Okay? It doesn't mean na yung brand na yon, sila ang nagma-manufacture nun. Sila lang mismo yung gumagawa ng particular wine. When we say in wine shippers, you are contacting directly kung saan yung source ng product. Okay? It can be the farmer. Okay? Pwedeng yung farmer na gumagawa ng sariling product for that particular item or pwedeng yung warehouse. Okay? Next one is the direct buying. Dito sa direct buying, doon ka na sa mismong brand umu-order o nagpa-purchase. Okay? So, for example, si Coca-Cola, si Nestle. Okay? So, doon ka na umu-order directly sa company. Last one is the auctions. For the auctions naman, you are posting kung ano yung mga qualifications and criteria and as well as specifications for a particular product na kailangan mo. Tapos, you are looking or there are different suppliers na mag-o-offer ng product nila base sa kung ano yung qualifications and criteria na pinost mo. You will then select, okay, kung ano yung best na supplier for the product. That is what you call auction. Okay, or nagkakaroon ng bidding process. Okay, so this is an example of a purchase order. So ano yung included sa purchase order natin? So nandiyan yung pangalan ng establishment, pangalan ng supplier, at saka address, date kung kailan siya pinurchase, anong order number siya or receipt, tapos kung ano yung qualifications and criteria na kailangan mo, and as well as kung paano siya i-deliver. Okay, so andyan din yung price, saka yung specifications ng item. Next one, okay, so the menu is the most basic and important control tool. Once the menu is created, 5 standard cost tools can be developed. Number 1 is standard purchase specifications. Number 2 is standard recipes. Number 3, standard yield. Next is standard portion sizes. And the last one is the standard portion costs. Let's proceed first with the standard purchase specifications. So ano nga po ba si SPS? Si standard purchase specifications, it means that you have listed down kung ano yung mga products at yung specifications, na yung criteria na kailangan mo for a particular item. For example, nag-purchase ka ng vegetable. Okay? So si vegetable, ano yung gusto mong specifications ng vegetable? Kailangan ba fresh from the farm, directly from farm to table? Or kailangan ba yung kulay ng vegetable hindi siya maputla? Kailangan ba yung vegetable hindi siya lamog? Okay? Gaano kabigat per vegetable ang kailangan mo? Okay? So it listed down all of the specifications na kailangan mo. So SPS has advantages, and these are number 1, fewer products may be required kasi you have already listed down yung specifications and criteria kung ano yung kailangan mo. Nakalista na din dun sa SPS kung gaano kadami lang yung kailangan mong i-purchase. So with that being said, hindi mo kailangang mag-tansya kung gaano kadami yung ipo-purchase mong product. Okay? Next one is to reduce purchase costs may be possible. It's because since nakalist down na kung ano yung mga kailangan mo at kung ilan lang yung kailangan mo, meron na rin kayong agreement ng supplier kung magkano lang din yung magagastos mo. Okay? Na-identify mo na kung gaano kadami, na-identify mo na kung ilan. Okay? Na-identify mo na kung sinong supplier. So ang tendency is that mabilis mo nang yung cost, yung kailangan mong ilabas na pera, hindi na kailangan madagdagan kasi it is already written down sa SPS mo at saka sa purchase order. Next one is, if purchase specifications are clear mentioned, more than one supplier will quote for the order. It's not a sin for for establishment na magkaroon ng more than one supplier. Okay? Hindi po yun kasalanan kung merong more than isang supplier ang isang establishment. It's because if the supplier cannot sustain yung number of portions or yung dami ng order ng isang establishment, it is just right na kumuha tayo ng iba pang supplier. Okay? With this being said, kung meron kang specifications na clearly stated, mas mabilis kang makakapaghanap ng supplier for that particular item. Next one is the standard recipes. So I will just summarize this one. If you have standardized recipe, it is easier for you to prepare a particular product regardless kung sino yung mag-prepare at kung anong araw siya ipa-prepare. Okay? Another thing is that kung meron kang standardized recipe, alam mo na din kung ano yung mga kailangan mong gamitin for preparation. It can also lessen the supervision for lessen the time for supervision. So hindi mo na kailangan bantayan lahat ng empleyado mo kung tama ba yung ginagawa niya. Hindi mo na kailangan bantayan kung yung ingredients ba na ginamit niya at yung measurement ay tama ba. Okay? And last thing is that na ma-maximize natin yung oras. Kasi since hindi na natin kailangan i-monitor, we can allocate the time for other things na dapat natin ginagawa. Especially kung ikaw yung chef o yung head cook ng kitchen. Okay? Standard yield. Okay? For standard yield, it is important that we know kung gaano kabigat yung yield ng isang item na nagagamit natin. Okay? So we have what we've called the AP as purchased or EP or edible portion. Okay? So when we say as purchased weight, ito yung bigat ng particular item nung binili natin siya. Okay, before natin i-trim off yung mga parts na hindi edible. Pag sinabi nating edible portion, ito yung bigat ng item na magagamit lang natin for consumption. For example, a 2 kg fillet of beef is purchased and after trimming and bracing, so after nating bawasan ng mga fats na hindi kailangan, yung mga balat o yung mga buto, okay? And after natin siyang lutuin or pakuluan, ang natira na lang sa kanya is 2 kilograms. Okay? So yung 500 grams is considered a production loss. So ibig sabihin, yun yung mga hindi natin nagamit, hindi natin napakinabangan. But it doesn't mean na hindi na natin siya pwedeng ipatong sa presyo ng product. Okay? So how do we determine the standard yield? So standard yield can be determined by conducting a yield testing. Okay? So yield testing, ginagamit lang natin siya dun sa mga items na alam natin na hindi 100% nagagamit. Okay? O merong mga parts na kailangan pa nating tanggalin. Okay? So, like, for example, meron tayong kailangang balatan o kailangan nating balatan yung product, kailangan nating tanggalan ng buto. Okay? So, doon natin ginagamit yung standard yield testing. So, cost per servable kilogram. So, cost per servable kilogram, it has something to do with kung gaano kalaki yung nagagastos natin, okay, dun sa servable part ng product. For example, yung 2.5 kilograms ng beef. Okay? So yung 500 kilograms na nawala, magkano ngayon yung cost nun? Okay? So yung nawalang cost na yun, ipapatong natin ngayon siya dun sa ating what do you call this? Unit price, okay, or product price. Okay. So the yield percentage is called the yield factor. So the ratio can be determined via this formula. So servable weight divided by original weight multiplied by 100 is equivalent to ratio of servable weight to original product. So ibig sabihin, yun yung percentage, okay, ng servable weight kung gaano kalaki lang yung percentage na kaya natin o pwede natin i-serve. Okay? So cost per servable kilogram is found by dividing the as purchased price by yield percentage. Okay? So si cost per servable kilogram naman, ibig sabihin, ina-identify natin kung magkano lang yung cost nung part na pwede nating i-consume for the particular item. Okay? So as purchase price divided by yield percentage is equivalent to cost per servable kilogram. Yung application nito, we will be using this sa next chapter pa. Okay, so I will just be discussing kung ano yung formulas today. So the cost per servable kilogram is the information needed to calculate the standard portion costs. So ano naman yung tinatawag nating standard portion costs? Si standard portion cost is yung expenses na ginagastos natin dun sa item while we are preparing. Okay? So wala pa po yung patong natin nakita. So wala pa yung variable costs, wala pa yung fixed costs na ipapatong natin dun sa item. So paano natin nakukuha yung quantity to purchase for the next product or kung gaano kadami yung ipapurchase natin for the next period. So quantity needed times edible portion divided by yield percentage is equivalent to quantity to purchase or quantity to prepare. Okay? So this is the formula para malaman natin kung gaano lang kadami yung kailangan natin gamitin or pwede natin magamit for a particular period. Cost factor, okay? So si cost factor at saka si adjustment factor is the same process. But the difference is that si cost factor, ginagamit natin siya to determine kung gaano kalaki yung idadagdag natin sa expenses para sa adjusted natin na recipe. Okay? So para ma-identify natin siya is we have to divide the cost per servable kilogram divided by as purchased price is equivalent to cost factor. So si cost factor ngayon yung i-multiply natin dun sa original price para malaman natin kung magkano yung idadagdag nating price for the particular item of adjustment. Next one is the adjustment factor. Okay? So si adjustment factor, nade-determine natin to or ginagamit natin to kapag i-quantified natin yung recipe. Okay? So what do we mean by quantifying recipe? For example, ang standard recipe ay meron lang 100 portions. Okay? So 100 portions and then gusto natin siyang i-adjust sa 225 portion. Okay? So hindi naman natin pwedeng tansyahin yung ingredients na idadagdag natin para malaman natin kung gaano kadami yung i-prepare natin para ma-meet yung 225 portion. Okay? So para ma-compute natin kung gaano karami yung ingredients na i-prepare natin, we have to compute for the adjustment factor or what we've called the conversion factor. So desired yield, which is yung 225, divided by the original yield, which is 100 portions, is equivalent to 2.25. Okay? So si 2.25 ngayon yung gagamitin natin at i-multiply natin on each ingredients, okay, or on each quantity of the ingredients para malaman natin kung gaano karami yung i-prepare natin. So for example, so 100 for 100 serving of product, ang kailangan mo ay 5 kilograms ng pork. Okay? For example, yung 5 kilograms ng pork na yun, kaya lang mag-serve ng 100 portion. Okay? Eh ang kailangan natin ay 225 portion. So para ma-adjust natin yung yung 5 kilograms na yon sa 225 portion, i-multiply natin ngayon si 2.25 kay 5 kilogram. Okay? So, kung ano yung weight na lalabas doon, yun ngayon yung kailangan nating i-prepare para ma-meet natin yung 225 portions. Okay? Malinaw ba tayo doon or medyo naguluhan sa explanation? Malinaw tayo kay conversion factor? Okay. So I suppose it's yes. Next one is the standard portion sizes. Okay. So for the standard portion sizes, it is very essential. Kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, diniscuss natin kanina sa first part, it is very essential that we always have to ensure that the portion should always be equal on each item or on each time that we serve the product. Okay. So control tools must be used every time that that a recipe is prepared. So for portioning of our products, so na-discuss naman na natin kanina, so you can use ladle, scoops, and spoons to get the correct quantity. Standard portion costs. So si standard portion costs it has something to do with the expenses that we spend on each product. Okay? So magkano ba yung nagastos natin kada product? Question? May question ba or clarification and objections, valid reactions? So I suppose there is none. So I will give a 5-minute break. 5-minute break muna tayo kasi baka mamaya inaantok na kayo dyan sa ating discussion. So pwede kayo muna mag-CR, uminom ng tubig, kung ano gusto nyo gawin. Let's have a 5-minute break muna. Kung may questions kayo, pwede nyo na ding itanong ngayon habang we are on a 5-minute break.
Sir,
Yes na.
apo, yung kanina na ba 2.25 yun, tapos yung sinabi niyo po, i-multiply by 5 po. So, bali naging equivalent is 11.25 kilos, parang ganun po yung sagot.
Yes na. So, ibig sabihin na, yung 11 point something na yun yung kailangan mong i-prepare para ma-meet yung 200.
Provide 200. Thank you
So,
po.
ang gagawin mo doon, para makuha nyo yun, i-multiply nyo yun sa each ingredients ng recipe. Sa quantity ng each ingredients ng recipe. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng i-multiply mo lang yun sa main ingredients. So, ibig sabihin, puro karne lang yung kakainin ng tao mo. Mas malaki yung gastos, okay? 5-minute break muna tayo. Inumin ko lang yung taho. Baka may question pa kayo dyan. Kung magsi-CR kayo, mag-CR na kayo. Kung inom kayo ng tubig, uminom muna kayo ng tubig. Parang ilan na lang ata yung tao. Parang during discussion na nahimik ata yung mga lalaki dyan. Nakikita niyo na ba yung presentation, yung pangalawang part? Nakikita niyo na ba?
Opo.
Ito, medyo maikli na lang to. It has something to do with the formulas na lang.